So, don't mean to cut in here, but we are at my second home, which is the junkyard, because all I like is junk. But maybe the next Krusty Classics Garage project vehicle? I don't know. We'll find out. See if we can come to an agreement on price. It's Krusty with the K, to say the least. So, price on the window. I don't know. We'll see. Tell me what you think. What do you guys think about that Wildcat? It's Krusty. Like, it is the definition of what I want for this channel to really kind of become. I'm not getting away from LS swaps at all, because of course I'm going to LS swap it. Although, this will surprise you, I wouldn't mind, you know, putting a big block Chevy in that bad boy and just blur, 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 blur. Because I want to build a big body, just street bruiser, 70s style air shocks. Not stupid, like, I don't want no rake or anything, but I just want some 295s in the back. You know, just meaty tires on some 15-inch rims, some quarter window stickers, like how I got all the stickers back there. That just on the just 70 style, just street bruiser, just with the cammed engine that hits harder than your drunk stepdad on a Saturday night. You know what I mean? So, just let me know what you think. I don't know. We'll see his price. I talked to him on the phone. Oh, my arm's getting tired. I talked to him on the phone briefly, and so what he wants for it in the grand scheme of things is cheap, but unsure on title situation, which a bonded title is not hard to do in Texas. I did for the CUDA, but it's Krusty. Like, it's Krusty, and it's got Bondo in some interesting places. But for the most part, the bones are great. All the trim is there. Tail lights are there. The dash is, aside from the dash pad, of course, because it's been sitting for however long, but it's perfect for the channel. It's exactly what I want for the channel as far as like vehicles I want to mess with and do stuff with. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Anyways, let's get back to the video. Yo, video number 3, part 3. I'm getting started a little bit later in the day than I originally planned. It's about 6 o'clock. I have about an hour and a half of daylight left. Now, I'm not gonna push it too much. The last 2 days have really worn me out. But if I get, well, let me show you what we're gonna do. So we got us a battery, and you don't need nothing expensive. This one was 75 bucks at Walmart. Plenty of cranking amps. What is this one? 76.75 cranking amps. I'm in Texas. Yeah, I mean, this isn't 15-to-1 compression, so it'll work just fine. And I kind of needed a smaller one for this area. I have the old batteries out of Wayne that are good, but I'm sure they're way too big for that spot. So, yep, that'll work. Well, no, we'll actually go this way. So there. My allergies are killing me today. Stupid windy. My nose has been running all day. I'm probably going to sneeze 3,000 times in this video, because it's right there. Oh, I need to sneeze. It ain't coming out. Oh my gosh. But okay. So today I want to, so before I put the intake on, I'm gonna put the oil pressure gauge, hook the oil pressure gauge up so it's not a pain to get around the back of the intake. Hook that up, run that line through the car. I'm not gonna hook up the oil pressure gauge in there anywhere just yet. I'm just gonna run the line. I need to tighten up the motor mounts. I need to put the starter on. I'm going to run the starter, the negative positive cable. Throw the intake on. And then about that point, I'll just kind of see where I'm at with daylight and everything, but there won't be a whole lot of recording me doing this stuff because there's going to be a lot of back and forth, up, down, side, side. I'm not going to be just standing right here like I was putting the engine transmission in, or under the car yesterday like I was doing the fuel system. Oh, I need to run those 2 wires from the fuel system too. So I'm going to be under, over, under, over, under, over. So I'll just kind of put stuff together or I'll record as I did something. This is more so just like getting knick-knack stuff done. This is the stuff. The knick-knack stuff is really what will get you as far as want to get out there and do it. You think just because you got the engine transmission in, you're like, boom, that's it. It's done. To an extent it is, but you got all the knick-knack stuff. You got the cooling system, harness, wires. I got a measure for the drive shaft. Bolting just engine parts on. So that's why I try to put the engine together as much as I care to before I put it in, like the water pump and the accessories, because those are, those kind of hurt your back when you're trying to throw them in there bent over. Oh yeah, I gotta tighten that. I don't really need to tighten that up. I'm not putting, I keep forgetting to get a thermostat. I went to O'Reilly's too. It's this 3rd time I've gone to O'Reilly's and forgot a thermostat. But let's get to getting and just finally put this thing together. All right, so our first setback. Well, I don't know if it's much of a setback, but no bueno. It does not fit. It is, I don't know. I mean, this looks like every LS starter I've messed with, but it does not fit correctly. So moved along. Got one of the fittings on, got a 45 degree for the top. I'm gonna run a 90 on the bottom so it hooks a little closer to the transmission, and then I'm gonna come under. And obviously there's no header in the way, which is, remember, I told you don't tighten up your header yet. It makes all this stuff a lot easier, especially when we go to hook up the wiring harness, because you really want to make sure you get these wires tucked in over here, which you'll see more when I do the harness. But those are your starter wires. I got the motor mounts tightened up on both sides. And so another reason too why this is fine, because now that your mounts are tight, engine transmission's not moving, so your headers just slide right back on in where they needed to go. Whereas before, you're kind of just doing mock-up while you're putting the engine transmission in, but just slide. Driver side always slides up from the ground. Passenger side, it's dealer's choice. Most of the time you can go from top to bottom, which I can with these, but sometimes you got to go from the ground. And then, but although you do have more room on this side, frame and whatnot, best to do it while you're putting the engine in, so you don't have to take motor mounts back apart, lift it back up, and you know what I'm saying. So I'm gonna run these transmission lines. I'm gonna hook up the trans cooler. I'll probably just set the radiator in there just because I got the oil gauge plumbed. I even have it hooked up in there. I mean, it took another 5 seconds just to run the wire to the back of the gauge. The tube. What else? So, gotta get a starter. Yeah, I'm gonna do these transmission lines. I'm gonna run the transmission cooler somewhere over here. Throw the radiator in, throw the intake on. And that might be it for tonight, given the setback with the starter and just daylight, but we'll see. All right, so had to take a little 20-minute detour and fix Wayne. The part came in, so I got that taken care of. Over here, I got the dipstick tube in, and I have this transmission dipstick, whatever you want to call it. But I have no idea what it is for now, because I thought it was for a 4060. Might have come out of a 700 R4 that I had a long time ago, maybe. But it sticks out. So when I put it all the way in, it kept hitting something. I was like, what is it, bent? I was like, no, it looks fine. Well, there's like this much left over after it's in the tube. So the end of the tube stops there where it goes in the transmission, and that much is sticking out, and it's bottoming out in the pan, like right here. So I don't know. gotta get a dipstick now. But I got that in. I got the transmission lines ran. See how that 90-degree, come on. See how that 90-degree is? You can't see it. For the third time, see how that 90-degree is nice and tight under there. I got the 45-degree on top. They're gonna come down once I'm gonna wait till I have the header in, just to make sure I give it enough space. But I typically run them like right here. Sorry, fingers in the way. I usually run them like that. Zip tie them together. Probably zip tie that one to the tube. Then I run them like that, and then I run them in over the frame, and then down, and then we'll come up somewhere. Somewhere, probably in that hole right there, and then connect to the transcooler. I said I was going to do the transcooler today, but I'm not. I need to make a list. I got to get a starter. I got to get a thermostat. I got to pick up my high pressure line and then show you guys how connect that to the pump. It takes an adapter. It'd be nice if it actually bolted in. Wouldn't be surprised being sure, but where I'm at now is, you can see my concoction is brewing. I put this in absolutely any old engine with miles on it. So basically every engine I own. Literally every. Cuda gets it. Big Papa gets it. Wayne got it. Welcome. It's your turn. So, and then another thing I do while I have the valley pan off is I like to pour the oil right down the yap. That about as wide as your mama's pie hole right there. And she opens it up. But yeah, because I like to just get those, what I can of the lifters, kind of soaked in some oil, because just for how long it's been sitting, I'm gonna show you guys how I prime these engines when they're mine, not customers, and y'all are gonna enjoy that. So just pour that down the yap, and then, or don't do it, it's whatever, it's up to you. I get a Felpro gasket from the store. It always comes with new gaskets for the valley tray. That's where your knock sensors go. Nothing wrong with this one. So, I mean, it's not broken or anything. So I just put that one in. And we are just going to lay this. I should probably wipe off that oil first, because my luck, that'll cause catastrophic failure. It won't be the worn out lifters that are in this engine. It'll be because I got some oil right there. But lay that down just like that. Like that. Sorry. And then throw this bad boy down. Something's always in the way. And then you got it on there. Get your lined up as best you can. Ouch. Ay, ay, ay. I'm such a danger to myself. Okay, we're good right there. You know what? Throw the big girl at her. Come on. What? Don't make me get the tickle stick. It's gotta be that new gasket. Okay. That girl's not heavy enough. She ain't 280. She ain't my kind of lady. That don't sound right. that new gasket. That's where the new one is. Just a little bit more. Oh. Well, that's just perfect. You know what? That is plenty down enough that the bolts will push it down the rest. All right, let me get those on. All right, so I am done for today. I got knock sensors in. I got my bolts torqued to spec, and by torqued to spec, I mean number 2 on the D-walled impact. So I told you guys about pouring the oil down the app. I didn't even do it. I completely forgot. So I just poured it down here. But before that, I had poured some down there, which you could tell. That's why I had to wipe off oil over there. But yeah, that's it for today. Tomorrow, we'll get the headers back on. We'll get the intake bolted on. Maybe get a starter from O'Reilly's. They're like $150, but on Amazon they're like $40. But that starter was $40 from Amazon, and see how they did me. They did me dirty. So I want to do, because I'm not going to do harness in this video, because that's going to be its whole separate video, because I get asked a trillion times a day, do you have a video on hooking up the harness? And nobody. If you go back to the last video I just posted of the fuel system, somebody asked. No, it was either the last video yesterday I posted the fuel system video, or the day before that when I posted to get the engine transmission, and somebody asked me if I had a video on doing the harness, and somebody asked if I had a video on doing the gauges. Come on now. But yeah, tomorrow we'll finish some stuff up, and that'll complete this video, and then next video after that should be firing it up, because I gotta hook up the harness and I gotta do the fuel pump wires. So I'll see y'all tomorrow. All right, next day, I just threw the intake on there. I pulled this one down. I thought this was gonna be the one I used, but I'm not. And I'm not gonna use this one because I have no interest in dealing with the plug. I need the, so that's a plug for, say, if you have hydro boost. So all your 3/4 ton trucks from 99 to early 06 or early 07, they'll have this plug on the back, because it runs hydro boost. It doesn't use a brake booster like this. So I gotta go get my stash and find one that doesn't have the plug, because I don't have, even if I pulled this one, I don't have an insert to put in there for the hose, so it wouldn't matter. But today we will finish up this video. I forgot a thermostat again. God. And I went to O'Reilly's and everything, got the starter. Why didn't you remind me? Got the high pressure line. I'm gonna show you guys how it makes factory one work. It'd be cool. I mean, I'm gonna see if that one will fit in the pump, but it probably won't. I actually don't think I have the fitting I'm thinking I have for that power steering line. It's just an adapter that goes on the back of the power steering pump. You can get it off Amazon for stupid cheap. I had something in here that I believe is for a power steering pump. It is, of course, when I'm not looking for it, it's in my face. And now that I'm looking for it, it's gonna play hard to find. I think this wouldn't work anyways. Yeah, so I'll have to order that. But all it is an adapter. I'll show it obviously whenever I do it, but it's an adapter with a female end that just plugs into the back of the power steering pump, and then you just thread the factory power steering high pressure line into it, and that's it. But today we will get the intake on, we will get the headers back on, put the starter in. I'm not going to fully bolt the starter up because I want to be able to get to the crank sensor plug, and I'm gonna try to, oh, that ain't gonna work. So when I do the harness, I'll bolt the starter all the way up, but I'll at least get it started up in there. I'm gonna put the headers back on, tighten up those lines. I'll probably lay the radiator in, and then I'll put the transmission cooler in and hook the transmission cooler up. That way I can fill the transmission up with fluid for the first test run, even though it's not gonna absolutely kill anything if I start it and run it for 5 seconds without it, but just do that to get it out of the way. I got a dipstick tube on the way, which this is what I mean by the knick-knack stuff gets you. This tube was $36, and then the dipstick was $65. It's ridiculous, but no, that's not what we want. Hopefully just tighten up that bolt, fix that. Probably not, but all right, let's get to that. All right, good. So I got a little bit done, but before I forget, for the 8,000th time, I meant to show you guys this in the fuel system video because that's when I found it. But wouldn't you know, looky at what was above the gas tank. The factory build sheet. I have never, in 13, 14 years of having old school cars, I have never found a build sheet. The fact that this was still in there, even though the tank had been replaced, is very interesting, but this bad boy was well optioned. So I'm pretty sure it was a factory Z28. I'm pretty sure those are the factory wheels. So obviously why I'm saying that is because if you look, well, we got power brakes, cruise control, 55 amp generator, which I assume would be alternator, 354 barrel. So instead of it making only 95 horsepower, it was making at least 120. Auto transmission, emissions, tilt steering wheel, space saver tire, hey, no, get over here. Space saver tire, cast aluminum wheels, which in silver, which I assume those are definitely cast aluminum, and they're silver. What's the tire size? 225/70. These are 215/70. What are these? Oh, it doesn't matter. Those aren't the original tires anyways. But that's really cool. So if you're interested in buying this car when it's done, you will get the factory, well, what's left of the factory build sheet. Well, what is that? I don't know. You tell me. I'm not one of those people that know everything about build sheets. So maybe if you see something in there that says it's a Z28, no idea. But I assume it is, given those options. But I could be wrong. Could just be a well option, just Camaro. But the fender's got the Z28 louvers. So, but anyways, where are we at? So I got the headers. Now they're not bolted on because you want, while you're doing these things, go on ahead and put your O2 sensor in. And the reason why you want to do it now is because you can kind of see how it's kind of close to the transmission. This gives you that wiggle space to kind of get your hands in there if you got big mitts. I'm fortunate enough I got little skinny hands, bony ones. So, but that one has plenty of room. But still, give yourself some wiggle in case you really gotta get all up in there and scratch up your oven mitts. But tighten those up. Transmission lines, set the radiator in, do the transmission cooler, and then continue going from there. But starter is in there too, not bolted up all the way, at least not yet. I'm trying to figure out, I wonder if I could take that hole and mount it anywhere. I don't think so. Yeah, no. Well, I don't know. I'll figure that out when I get to it. All right. I completely forgot to do the throttle cable the other day. Do it while the intake is off. Put off the intake, get the other intake from the intake place. Do it while the intake is off, because then the back of the intake will just be in the way, and it's harder than it should be. Whose fingerprints are those? But what you do, so you're gonna knock out. Well, we'll go over there in a second. Look at it. I'm pretty sure these are it, anyways. So go to a hardware store, get you some of these bad boys. You want them to be pretty wide, like this one. The inner part, you actually want it to be a little bit wider, because so this end will go through the firewall. This end is what connects to your throttle cable bracket and throttle body. This will go through your firewall, so you're gonna pinch this up against in between the firewall. So one of these on outside, other one on the inside. Pinch the firewall, and that's how you keep this in place. What you got to do though is get you one where the hole is big enough but not too big to where you can get it in there. See if I can do this one-handed. And you want to be able to get it over that nut. Come on. Oh wait, dang it, that's the wrong one. That's the new one I just put out of the drawer. This one I just wallered out. Yeah. So basically get one of those. Drill the hole out a little bit more if you need to, but not too much, because then it's pointless. And get it over. Run it through. Come on. There we go. Run it through. And then bam, that'll be on your firewall side. So what I'm gonna do, because this one's it's kind of a catch-22. You got to make it wide enough to go over it, but you don't want it too wide to where when you tighten it, it goes back through it. But that's kind of how it goes. So I'll grab a lock washer, and what did I do? I'm trying to remember the last one I did. Oh, that's what I did. I just kind of widen it out right there, so it'll go over. So it'll go over the cable and then slide over that. Well, do it like that. Slide over the cable, go over that. It'll go on there first, and then the washer. That way that piece doesn't go through. And then it goes in firewall from the engine bay firewall side in, and then you'll put another one on the other side, and you'll just sandwich the firewall in between it, and that's how it's holding on. But let me do this, get this set up real quick, and then I'll take you and show you how to install it. All right, so you might not be able to see it, but there's no, okay, you kind of see it now. See how I got it in there, sandwiched? That's how you get it connected to the firewall, and then that nut right there, it's a 9/16, so you're gonna get a 9/16 and tighten that down. But the issue is you'll need somebody to hold it from the other side while you tighten that nut. But that is how you mount it onto the engine, or on the engine. Oh my gosh, I've been out here too long. How you mount it to the firewall. And then this is what this, you see that little ball right there? That's what's going to connect to the actual pedal. So right there on this car, it's different on other vehicles. So this happened to be the same exact setup as my Cuda, and this is exactly what I did on my Cuda. You take so this piece out, also the factory cable had that same little type of ball on it, and it just went through that hole, and that's what holds it. But this one, you got to take that piece out. Focus. Okay, take that piece out and cut a slit in it so you can slide it over the cable, but not too big to where the little ball goes through it. So we're gonna just, oh no, you want to get this piece out of the way. So this piece you don't need. You just get that out of the way. You can cut it off, let it dangle, do it, whatever. Just, you don't need it. No, that works. Hey, is that what they put that there for? Appreciate it. But we're gonna try to one hand. Oh, stay. Okay, we'll be right back. All right, and it's always, there it is. See it? Maybe not. Oh, where are you? Okay, there we go. So you see how it's there. There it is. And there's your pedal. Of course, when you tighten it up, or when you connect it to the intake, that'll actually be it. But what is that rod for? Interesting. But all right. Throttle cable is 99% done. This is obviously the intake side. We're just gonna move that out of the way. Oh, I need to take that off. But yep, so there's your knock sensors. Pretty self-explanatory. If not, they're your knock sensors. There you go. Let's throw the intake on, and this will complete this video. All right, we are finished for this one. Intake on, fuel rail hooked up, or fuel line hooked up. I don't know about that. I might have to swap that to a 45 degree. We'll see if it leaks when I power up the fuel pump, give it power, or give it fuel. We got transcooler. Oh, I didn't show you on the transcooler. So I got the transcooler. Oh, I gotta cut my zip ties. I got the transcooler mounted where it'll get the best possible airflow right there. Typically you would mount it on the radiator, kind of in the middle, because if you put a big fan on it, the big fan is going to be mounted in the middle, and you want that also getting the air pulled through it. But if I did that, the actual, all this stuff is in the middle blocking airflow driving, so it'll at least get some. The fan should at least overlap here on this side and pull from here, but for the most part, when you're driving and stuff, it'll get all that nice air flowing through it. Okay, well, I got the battery cable just kind of mocked up. I always run my negative cable to the block, so this is where your factory AC mount would have mounted. Obviously, I just use those holes. I took that metal piece off from around the wires. It just kind of sat too close to the headers for my liking. I didn't want that metal tube to get all hot and then melt the wires, so I'm gonna tuck those wires like I usually do. Got the dipstick tube in. Intake is bolted down and torqued to DeWalt spec. Do not use a torque wrench on those intake bolts. I've snapped them just using a regular ratchet, but that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. Headers are mounted, bolted on. Hook up brake booster. But yeah, that is it. I'm probably forgetting something. No, I gotta order some things. I gotta order a block off, a mount for the throttle cable. And once I got it all put together, I'm gonna pressure wash it and make it all pretty, and then pressure wash the engine bay where I should have done it when that engine wasn't in there, but I did it with the water hose and some engine cleaner, and it did nothing. So we'll see how that goes. But appreciate you watching. If you watched this far through, tell me what y'all think about that Buick Wildcat. I don't know. I don't think the price is going to be where it needs to be for me to throw about $8,500 into that thing and it still look like garbage. But yeah, so this will be for sale when I'm done. I got to reiterate, I have people that contact me asking me to do work for them, and they seem to be surprised by my labor charge to do a swap. It's dependent on the vehicle, so I can't give you a number right here, right now. It's dependent on what you want me to do. So hopefully y'all don't think that this car, when I post it for sale, it's gonna be $2,500. It's gonna be up there. It's gonna be less than 5 digits, but it'll still be 4 digits. Yeah. So just don't be thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna get that LS swapped '79 Camaro for $3,500, $2,500. So, and also don't contact me for work if you think I'm gonna do it for free. Not saying anything about anybody that's contacting me. I'm just saying in general. So, but anyways, appreciate you watching. Next is wiring harness. Actually, next should be firing it up. I got to measure for drive shaft. The one I thought I had for the Nova, way too long. So this drive shaft is gonna be a little stubby thing, I guess. But appreciate you watching. Go build something. I gotta go take a shower.